t-shirt. Ricky, it's raining and shitty here up in Long Island. How's it going in San Antonio, Texas? Are the people still dying from the hot?
It is the hot that is killing. Yes, it's
Mm-hmm.
just about 100 today.
Oh, that's
Uh, w-
nice.
yeah, we had a couple of really nice days, like in the high 90s. So
Yeah.
cooled off a bit. Um,
So what do you just
couple of
stay inside forever
cou-
when summer
yeah, a
comes?
couple of days with like rain, so it was like a stepping out into a sauna for a couple of nights. But yeah, it was rough.
So I imagine in my mind, right, in Texas, it's July. You go inside, right?
Yeah,
And then you just reemerge in like September
yeah, it's like the opposite of what it is there when people go into hibernation
for
in
the
the
winter.
winter.
Right.
Yeah, it's like everyone's afraid of the blistering heat. It's like that. It's very much like California hot, where it's like burn your skin hot. Like you look outside and you're like, man, it looks beautiful out there. Then you walk out and you're like, fuck, this hurts. Like it just
Right.
hits you. Yeah, it's just like the
You
sun
get
gets really close.
like July 1st, you get like a really, really, really short haircut, and
Mm,
then you come out in like the middle of September with an afro, and it's like,
yeah,
okay,
he's
I have to go do this again.
yeah.
Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Anything else going on? What's up?
Not
Nothing?
much other than that.
How's karate camp going?
Yeah, it's going good. They're throwing swords now. I think they're on to the sticks, like
Mm-hmm.
training with two what looks like little kendo sticks.
Right.
So that's
No, I
always
think
fun
sticks.
watching when they have to spar each other with sticks. How many times they're gonna whack each other in the face with it? So,
I'm pretty certain sticks are the technical name for them.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Fucking sticks.
Have you been sorted yet?
Uh, Not yet. No.
Is there like an edge on a sword that you give a minor, or is it just kind of dull and you just kind of hope for the best?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. You just you know hope for the best. That's what I've been doing.
Right. No, it's. I mean, it sounds like the most efficient plan is to
Yeah, it's like you're
just
paying
hand.
for it. And you're like, this won't end
Right.
well. All right, thank you,
Right.
and you just leave.
Here you go, 8-year-old. Here is your weapon. I will be behind that door.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, we're off to a great start. We talked last week about the bracketology of the Owen Hart tournament, how Collision felt, and our thoughts on what's going on with the bloodline. But there's been a lot of movement this week, so I think we should start with a little bit of the AEW stuff because I want to save our slash my incredible bloodline theory predictions and Freshtradamus work for
Mm.
later. So let's start off just by saying any clips you caught on anything AEW related this weekend because I know you didn't watch it.
No, It seems like Dynamite's just not doing much of anything interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I've completely disengaged from anything Elite and BCC related, and I know that they've been going at it, and I don't know, like I don't even know what's half the shit that they're doing there. It just seems like everything is so ass backwards. So I don't watch or keep up really with any of it unless something horrific happens and everyone just starts tweeting about it or something. Really.
Right. Well, I mean, there's a big rumor going around today, right off the bat, that maybe CM Punk is being rumored to possibly take the place of Bryan Danielson in the Blood and Guts match. Have you heard this today on Twitter?
No,
It's making the
really.
rounds because obviously, the I'm not going to call them the Blackpool Combat Club because there's not an Englishman between
Right.
the entire group,
Yeah.
right? So, the
No sense.
there's nobody from Blackpool. There's not even anybody black. So
Yeah.
it's just like, what are we doing here? But yeah, Moxley and his bands of merry men have challenged the elite for a war games. They call it Blood and Guts.
Oh,
Right.
that's what Blood and Guts is. War
Right,
games.
because they can't call it war games.
Oh, okay.
And since they already had their blow off match, they need to have a blow off match after their blow off match. So he's like, hey, let's do Blood and Guts in one of the typical John Moxley promos where, he snaps cartilage and chews tendons and, drinks blood and eats brains, whatever he says. And he challenged them to a Blood and Guts match, but they're not going to have enough guys.
Right.
So I started seeing on Twitter today, the rumor that's making its rounds is that there is a possibility of CM Punk jumping in with the combat crew.
Yeah, but isn't that on free TV though?
Yes.
So it's not even a pay-per-view or
No, and so since I guess you're not familiar with how they've been doing these things, like they get the people like every time they've done one on free TV,
yeah.
like I think they like taped it the night before.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing about that.
Or like they would tape the whole show, right?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
they would tape the whole hour of Dynamite that wasn't the big stupid cage match and
Right.
make the fans watch it on the screen, and then the fans would watch the big stupid cage match.
Stupidest shit ever, I swear. All right, so they're gonna somehow insert Punk into this thing and just give it away in hopes that people will tune in thinking they're gonna see something like a fight break out in a wrestling match. Is that what everyone's expecting here?
Right. It can't be. It can't be, right?
There's no way. No.
There's no way because there's so much. If you're gonna do anything like this, there's money to be made, right?
Yeah, I don't think Punk like let's just say that was tossed around the idea. I don't think Punk would waste that on a clusterfuck of a match where it would just really be like a throwaway. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see that happening.
All right.
That's it. I mean, it's just fucking stupid. Like this whole thing with them and Punk and everything it's so fucking stupid now. It's like how does anyone get excited for anything anymore? So
did you see any of the pictures online of Moxley at the GCW show with the skewers hanging out of his head?
That was in New Japan.
Oh, that was in New Japan. Excuse me. What did I say? GCW?
Yeah.
Yes. That was for New Japan.
Yeah, the strong shows they had over there this past weekend. I think it was the first night when they did the tag matches before the big singles matches that they were all running. But yeah, because he wanted to wrestle that hardcore legend guy that's like Desperado's teacher or something or mentor or something.
But like,
yeah, I don't know what's going on over there. Like now he's infesting New Japan Strong with this hardcore shit that doesn't make any sense. So
before I don't know a lot about the background of John Moxley pre WWE, right? I know that he did some, I guess, CZW and some like of the IWA shit, right?
Yes, yeah.
Did he have anything to do at all with New Japan Pro Wrestling before he left WWE and started with AEW?
No, he didn't.
How did he trick everybody in New Japan and their fan base into thinking that like he is something that New Japan should be
Right.
interested in at all.
Right. Yeah.
Like how did that happen?
So I remember when he first left WWE before he made that appearance in AEW.
Right.
He had already worked out New Japan, where I think he was going into the G1 that year. Because remember when he left WWE, he was doing like the jeans and the beater shirt.
Yeah.
Then the next time I saw him, like,
He had tights on.
Yeah, he had the short trunks, like the totally with the leather jacket that just didn't fit
and the barbed wired pattern that
I was
it
like,
looked like he bought on elucha.com or High
yeah,
Spots.
basically, yeah, it's exactly what it looked like. And it just didn't make sense to me. And I think what I think happened was New Japan was so hot, he thought, man, this would be great. Like, I don't have to work for WWE. I could just go there. And then he just went there because, of course, he's an ex WWE guy, right? So they're going to kind of let him do his own thing. But he was such a mark for that hardcore bullshit before he got into WWE. So I think he just been wanting to work there. Like, he likes it there. Like, I don't know. I remember when he wrestled Ospreay in Chicago. We did like a big pay-per-view for New Japan Strong, and he did a promo where he just loves New Japan, and I think he was just a big fan of it, and he just that's how he's getting there. But now he's kind of muddying up the waters with, now he's getting these other hardcore guys booked, and they're doing the hardcore stuff, which maybe there is of course there's an audience for that. It's just that's just not the New Japan audience. So
right.
I mean,
and he's gonna hurt. He's gonna hurt strong.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. Is like it really just kind of
give them
gets
a black
away.
eye and a bad reputation.
Yeah, getting away from what Strong and New Japan as a whole is really supposed to be like. Like, I mean, they brought Onita in on those bigger shows, but that was like half of that was like political,
right?
Just like a publicity stunt type thing. It wasn't really. It didn't have a whole lot of value to it, So.
But it's just like.
Yeah, it's just bad.
I don't see what the appeal of him. The more and more I think about the match that he had with Ishii last week, where it was just nobody sold anything. They chopped each other 100 times, 100 forearms, 100 headbutts. Nothing like. I just don't understand why, what the appeal of Jon Moxley is to anyone.
I agree.
To the Japanese culture and wrestling fan base. Like, what is, he's not Stan Hansen. You know what I mean? Like, he's not Bruiser Brody either.
Yeah. Even those guys didn't do that stuff there.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, they may have grabbed a chair and everyone would freak out and leave, but and run away. But they weren't in there using them like all night. Like, that's the thing, is like people compare that style, like the quote unquote hardcore style, to Hansen and Brody, and that they never did that stuff. Like, it wasn't, that wasn't the style that they were doing. They were aggressive.
People hear names and they hear, parts of stories about Brody and Hansen, and they've never actually sought them out to realize what they actually did. Like, Brody really only did that kind of shit with Abdullah. Otherwise,
and that's because Abdullah did it. And
100%, because that's all he could do.
Right. Yeah. But, I like Moxley, but like as a person, and like I know he means well and stuff. It's just he just doesn't fit in a lot of this, and it's like I feel like some people are bending to accommodate for him. and he should be working the style there, instead of, if you really want to get yourself over, like, don't you want to wrestle Okada one-on-one and not bring in a hardcore guy to wrestle in New Japan? Isn't that like, I don't know, like, that's kind of like bringing your own birthday cake to another birthday party. Like,
Right.
I want this instead, but I'll just do
That's
it. I'll
getting
eat it.
engaged at somebody else's wedding. Is what
Yeah,
it is.
it's exactly what it is. It's like, I mean, like, if you're gonna use guys from AEW, why aren't you using Brian more often? Joe, Cesar, Claudio, more
With your
like,
younger guys also. But.
yeah, like all the guys that need it, and that can do that style, instead of using Moxley and then booking outside talent from Japan because they do that style. Like, oh, we need a hardcore guy. Oh, we'll go get the most popular hardcore guy there is. It's like, okay, and then he's here for that night, that weekend, and then that's it. He does nothing for Strong's business or a build to anything, because the match should have been, with other guys, and then maybe Moxley calls out that wrestler, that hardcore Japanese wrestler after, and then you build up to that. But they just kind of went in there and it was like, all right, we'll do this in a whole weekend. First you'll have a tag match, and then you'll have a singles match, and then that was the end of it. It was written off that quick, It's just, I don't know. I don't like it, and like, I'm really disappointed that they didn't have like Cesaro in the G1, or Brian. I mean, I know Brian's hurt now, but like that, I thought would have been really, really good.
I think so too. Let me ask you a question. What, totally unrelated. What was that building that Ring of Honor used to run that looked like the Deer Park Community Center? Do you know what building I'm talking about?
Is it the Rexplex in New Jersey?
It might be tall ceilings.
Yeah, where it's like, yeah, it was a huge recreational center, like,
blue padding on the walls and shit.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, because I was just looking at Twitter, and a Joe and Low Key like match highlight reel.
Yeah,
just came up from that
was there. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and they were with Samoa Joe's blonde hair. Let's talk about this for a minute.
Okay.
Was that a rib? Did he lose a bet? He fell asleep in a car ride. Somebody dyed his hair. Give us a little background on that.
So I believe that was during the time when 01 was feuding against All Japan, and Joe was part of 01. And I don't know if you know Tao Kea from All Japan.
No.
Okay, so he's from Hawaii originally. He still lives there now, but he was considered by many like Giant Baba's like adopted son.
Right.
And so he was like a young boy, did the whole, through the dojo, and he was a huge attraction for All Japan. And when Muta came in, he took Kea under his wing as well, and they became like tag champs together and formed a group. Anyways, Tao Kea had blondish hair at the time, so they were good. So Joe was told that they were thinking about doing a tag team, Kea and Samoa Joe as a team. So he bleached his hair, and he was like, oh, well, I'll just do the gimmick and see what they think of it, so that was all that. I mean, we made fun of him too, like, but how can you not?
Right.
Yeah.
It's like the total opposite of Greg Valentine for Rhythm and Blues.
When he went the other way.
Oh shit! I was always curious about that, but I never really thought to ask it.
Yeah, that was the reason.
Speaking of Samoa Joe,
Mm.
Collision, last night's Collision, it was good again.
Yeah.
So they started off the night again with the open, and then they go into a few cold promos. And then Punk comes out while the theme music for the show is playing. Right?
Mm.
So it seems, impromptu.
Right.
Grabs a microphone. He starts cutting a promo, and then he said something like, "I love to be in Regina," and cracked half a smile. So Punk knows what's up,
Yeah,
and yeah, we're not the only idiots. And
exactly.
got everybody going for the Owen Hart tournament, and
Okay.
then they went into Hobbs and Starks. Hobbs and Starks. They had a. It was a little. I don't want to say like off at first, but or like too like they had all of their stuff worked out too well, but
Uh,
then they were kind of executing a little sloppy though, so it made the oh it's weird to say it was they it seemed so choreographed, but their execution was a little off that it made it seem like it was plausibly not choreographed. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It was odd at first, but then they really started getting going. They had
Mm.
a really good match. People are super super into Ricky Starks.
Yeah.
And then when it came down to the finish, Hobbs hit his spine buster, but QT was up on the apron, and the referee didn't turn around in time for him to count it. So right, and the referee was jawing at QT
Uh,
as Hobbs hit his finish.
oh.
Right, so
Right. Right.
QT's doing the turn around deal, and referee's going get down, get down, get down, misses the pin. There's an altercation between QT and Hobbs. Starks hits the spear, 1, 2, 3, and then yeah, he beat Hobbs clean with his finish.
Wow.
But then after that, Hobbs basically physically told QT Marshall and all those other dudes to fuck off. So they
Oh.
beat Hobbs, but they got QT out of that group,
Okay.
which is, I feel like the most important thing they could have done. But he got a big pop for it, so now I kind of feel like he's a babyface. So going forward, QT, Hobbs as a babyface, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's good because he's one of those big guys that moves well and like he's pretty basic. He's not in there trying to reinvent the wheel. He's just doing
Right.
good power guy moves. He's explosive. I think he has to be a baby face at first. And obviously getting away from QT's group is gonna make you that clearly. So that's good. Hopefully this is a nice little reset for Hobbs, like
Yeah.
we got him reintroduced to the crowd. We got him in there. I mean, I thought he was going to win, to be honest, and it was going to be Punk and Hobbs. That was my.
Well, that would have been a baby face and a heel.
Yeah.
Right. It's not.
Right.
Right.
But I mean, I'm glad it went down that way with the exit of QT and them. So hopefully it does because like he could be easily thrown right into that TNT title picture like right away. I don't know if you want to throw him in a main event. I mean, that's also
Right.
possible, but he's only on that, right? He's not doing like Ring of Honor, right?
Ricky.
Hobbs.
Oh, Hobbs.
Hobbs.
I don't think I haven't watched one of the Ring of Honor tapings in a couple of weeks. I don't think he's
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
wouldn't put him on it because you've got what's his nuts? Brian Cage you're using there, right? And
yeah.
those two big Samoan looking dudes. So
Yeah.
I would kind of leave him over by himself on Collision, where he's kind of the only guy that looks like him. We
Yeah.
haven't
No,
we haven't
I'm
seen
just,
Wardlow since the first episode.
yeah, I'm just thinking in the sense of like how much work is he getting?
Right.
like how busy is he staying so he can, improve and get better is more how I look at it. Like he's definitely one of those guys that needs to be on those house show loops, getting those reps in and getting the crowd familiar with him, as a
Right.
character and everything else. Like I think he like usually like, well, I would think like Wardlow and a couple others should be like huge projects that they're looking to build off of. So
Hmm.
hopefully this helps, gives them some sort of personality now. With even if he just destroys QT like in a squash, like a glorified squash, that would probably help him the most.
The most.
Maybe QT comes out and like smacks the shit out of him, like you're nothing without me, blah blah, blah, just talking down on him, and maybe they get, I don't know, but they need to strap the rocket to this guy, because I mean he could be the next big thing in the next 5-10 years if they play their cards right. And I mean, if Punk really is writing these shows and laying this shit out the way I assume he is, which shows that he kind of is, if like Starks is in the finals now, and then they're getting Hobbs away from this group, so hopefully they know that and they're going to work towards that.
Right. Also, they brought back. I feel like it's had to have been at least a year since we've seen Scorpio Sky.
Oh yeah, I saw that. So he had a match, right?
He not only did he have a match, right?
Yeah.
He had a match that it seemed like it was straight up produced by Tony Khan for Wednesday night.
Oh no, like a
They
video
put
game
him.
match?
Well, no, but they put him out there with Action Andretti, and it went longer than a minute.
Oh no.
So they had a competitive match.
Yeah, yeah.
He was selling for him. I think there was even a couple of 2 counts on Scorpio Sky.
Mm.
I know it was only last night, but I'm trying to remember. I believe they went through a break, and then after Sky hit his finish and pinned him, there was a handshake. So we're gonna have a babyface Scorpio Sky there. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I figured Sky was gonna come back as a face because he's a nice guy in general. Like I don't know if he's got what it takes to be a believable heel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, having a competitive match with that guy doesn't make too much sense. I feel like a lot of these newer guys like this, like they feel this need to have that competitive back and forth match. Do they think that gets them over more? I
Yeah,
mean,
well,
when
you
you're
know
on
what it was
TV,
was Chris Jericho made him a star.
right? No, I know that, but that's what I'm saying. Like now you can just go. Now Sky should have just ran right through him, and then whatever star he had, now Sky's got it, because clearly Sky is the guy that they're pushing here, not
Right,
Andretti, right? So at this point, do your job, Andretti, and come in, be a little dirty for the cutoff, talk some shit so Sky can get a big comeback and then just take it home. Like these guys are acting like everything's got to be 50-50 out there. Then you don't have any stars. You just got guys that are going the distance with other guys
right.
constantly. Who's to cheer? Who do you like? I mean,
Who you pushing?
who you pushing, right? Like it's crazy. Like yeah, they think the match gets over. It's like
Right,
it shouldn't be that way. Not on TVs. You still have to, one person has to do the job, not just losing, but getting the other guy over is your
right.
objective at that point.
That's like
Should have,
why it's called the job.
yeah, but like yeah, exactly. Like give Sky a long shine where he's always up, cut to a break, you trip him, boom, he goes down, a little couple stomps,
Yep.
fuck you to Regina, and then, grab a
Turn
hold,
around and
let's go, and that's it. Like this way it's at this point it's got to be 70-30 style booking where, you see Sky and like, wow, man, that was awesome. Like who, then you level them up the next week, with a more competitive guy, and then
right.
you know, boom, like you do that for the month and he's all set for the pay-per-view. Like, I mean, it's pretty simple, you know.
Right.
I
After
don't like
4 weeks.
how each match has to be like that. And then we got to kiss and make up at the end of every match. Like, get that shit off the TV. Like, we don't need to see that every week. Like, this is
Right.
stupid.
The yeah, I mean, like the next thing they showed us is the match that Scorpio Sky should have had, and they had Julia Hart out there with some local Canadian girl.
Mm.
And within a minute, she had her tied up like a pretzel, and the girl was tapping out.
Yeah.
And, you know, you knew
Mm.
right away who the person that you're supposed to be invested in was.
Right. Yeah. You still have to spoon feed this audience who the star is and who's not. Like, the back and forth matches. I mean, we don't need that every week. Like, this is why it's getting boring, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Especially their show. They do that shit all the time. That's all you ever hear of it, you know.
Right.
It's terrible.
I think I'm a little out of order, right? Because I feel like the the Scorpio Sky match was before Punk and Joe, because it was after the FTR Bullet Club Gold tag
Oh, okay.
match.
Uh-huh.
I think that was the order.
Uh,
Either way, whoever went after the FTR tag match
yeah.
was in the death spot.
Mm.
Doesn't even do it justice,
Hmm.
because that match was the most goddamnedest thing I've seen in TV wrestling, Rick. I can't even begin to explain. Right? Like
Yeah.
I didn't even like, oh, let me write this down so I could
Right.
talk about it. Like I was
Yeah.
just like jaw open the whole time. They started kind of slow. They
Mm.
got into it. They Cash Wheeler did a monkey flip with Juice, where
Yeah.
Juice kind of went straight up in the air and was like going to come down on Wheeler.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Wheeler kicked him again
Oh shit.
to move him like out of midair. It was goddamn incredible. And Kevin Kelly, man, he's like, he uses like real sports terms.
Right.
You know, like somebody goes in for a stinger splash and their opponent moves out of the way, he'll be like, "Oh, there's an unforced error by, you know, CM Punk."
And
Like
yeah.
he's selling us fucking sports here,
Right. Right.
and it's incredible. And they put heat on Cash, and it was a long heat, like a
Yeah.
real, but it wasn't boring. It was
Yeah.
long. He kept fighting, kept fighting, kept fighting. There was one point where like they had you so hot for the hot tag, and he's going to make it, and Juice comes around the other side of the apron, and
Yeah.
Dax starts fighting him down the apron towards the other corner. So
Yeah.
when Cash gets there, there's
Yeah.
nobody there, and then he comes running back to make
Yeah.
the tag, and as he runs back, Jay White fucking
Yeah.
knocks him over. And I'm just like,
Nice.
and then finally they made the hot tag, and I was like, all right, they're gonna go home here.
Yeah.
And the only thing I didn't like that kind of gave it away was Kevin Kelly and Nigel McGuinness kept explaining that if you lose in an eliminator match, you don't get another shot at the titles while those people or that champion is still the champion.
Oh, okay.
So, like, by the third time
Yeah.
they told us that, I was
Right.
like, okay, well, they're obviously going to do this match again.
Right.
So they're going to beat FTR.
Did
And
you
incredible.
see the promo after the match setting up the 2 out of 3 falls?
Yeah. Yeah, when he called him Fuzzy Wuzzy Was, and then he was like, oh, Fuzzy Wuzzy all over you.
Yeah, but the start of it when Juice Robinson walks into the camera and he's like, "Winner, winner, chicken dinner."
Yes.
I lost it because you look at his eyeballs and they're like huge. He's like, "Winner, winner, chicken dinner."
Do you remember the Muppet movies from when you
Yeah,
were a child?
yeah.
Do you remember the character Animal?
Yes, animal. Yes,
Yes, you
yeah,
getting where I'm going here?
yeah,
That
exactly.
Chris
With
Robinson
the
is
hair, yeah, the
he's the
eyes,
live action version of Animal from the Muppets.
for sure. Yes, I agree.
But dude,
He's
yeah.
that dude is money, man. He is so money.
But the match was like they
Yeah.
went for the big rig and Jay White like flew out of it
Uh-huh.
and like stopped himself before landing on Cash's knees, and then they hit the power and glory thing. It was back and forth and back and forth.
Wow.
And then finally Juice hit his finish on Dax,
Mm.
and Cash slid in too late. 1, 2, 3. It
Oh,
was,
nice.
and it was like very like everybody in the crowd like they didn't know if he made the save or not.
Right.
It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like literally every person in the building like
Mhm.
looked over to the timekeeper's table to see if the bell would
Yeah.
ring, and it rang, and everybody was like, "Ah!" Like
Nice.
it was awesome, but it forced um CM Punk and Joe to have a very different match than the match I anticipated them having. You know,
What do you
because
how?
FTR's match was this big build
Mhm.
of constant action and fighting and,
Yeah.
big move. And then Punk and Joe went out there and they were slow.
Yeah.
And they had the kind of match that all these guys that think they're having the Japanese style matches
Yeah.
think they're having.
Right.
You know exactly what I mean by that?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Like it
Yeah.
was like the Japanese style match of like 10 or 12 years ago where they started off with wrestling
Yeah.
and then they went back and forth and then the frustration built and
Yep.
then they started breaking down into testing each other's fucking metal,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
they got going a little bit. Punk went for something. He hit the knee in the corner. He went for the bulldog. Joe fucking you know killed him. Didn't let him
Mm.
get it. And then Punk, he went for it again. And the whole time you're just seeing like, all right, did Joe manhandles Punk, and Punk fights from underneath.
Right.
Like the way you'd expect. The way you'd
Mhm.
expect. And then Punk got the bulldog later, and
Mhm.
he's selling that he shot, and they're fighting back and forth, and the big chop trade, the elbows, and it wasn't the like, okay, I'm gonna chop you, and I'm gonna stand here, and you're gonna chop me.
Right.
Like it was done proper.
Yeah.
And then finally, I think Punk rolled him up, 1, 2, 3.
Mhm.
Joe's what the fuck? And
Mhm.
Punk's on the ropes, like dead to the world. Like, I can't believe I just did that.
Mhm.
Joe is in shock, and then he fucking choked him out. Which
Yeah.
now people on Twitter are saying, this is the end of the Punk and Joe story and rivalry, right?
Mhm.
And you know me, I go the other way. I'm thinking that this is a great place to actually start this rivalry off
Yeah, for sure.
for the fan that's not familiar
Yep.
with what they did 18 years ago. What are your thoughts?
I totally think so, especially like describing the way the match went. They basically did nothing, in other
Right.
words. So they haven't done anything yet. So, and if you were captivated by this match, wait till they decide, hey, you want to do something tonight? And
Mm-hmm.
then what that's going to look like. Because I know it was the hour-long draw that they did when Punk said, like in the promos leading up to it in Ring of Honor, he was like, I'm gonna out wrestle you, and he like kept going to the headlock, because also they knew that they were going to put 60 in. So, but yeah, that's totally it. I mean, Joe as a heel is money. It
Yes.
keeps Punk a face where he doesn't have to try to be a face now, because in other matches with other people, you can see the heel Punk coming out to get a good match out of somebody. There's a little bit of that like venomous look that he'll have because he's trying to get a good match out of the person or whatever. But this is a no-brainer, formula for success here, because Joe wants something from Punk. He wants that win back. It's perfect. It's reintroducing something that people are familiar with, but they're gonna now, with everything that they know now, they'll make it 10 times better. But yeah, I'm curious. I'm hoping for Stark's sake that he's going up. He's got to go up in this. Punk don't need it.
Nope.
Starks needs it. But does Joe interfere and then tarnish it? Do we just let it be a wrestling match? This is a match where if done right, Punk is going to go in there as Ric Flair and Starks is going to go in there as Sting, and he's going to say, "You're welcome," after, like, make him that guy that just took a huge step up. So I'm assuming that'll be it, because you can always have Joe attack Punk after, like, long after the match, during a promo in the next week. Not that they want to copy it, but Joe is kind of the Brock of this show, where he can him going apeshit and destroying you in the back looks just as good as if he did it in the ring. You know what I mean? Like, especially when you're watching on television, like it's going to be believable. So I'm hoping that they're not going to have Joe come in during the match, and they just let it be Starks's moment. I would hope. When is that match?
That is next Saturday's Collision.
Oh, okay. Oh, is that the Calgary one?
Well, God, I hope not. Are they still in Canada?
They're in Canada for a while, yeah. It would make sense to have the Owen Hart thing in Canada, in Calgary, right?
Yeah, I saw I can't remember who it was. It might have been Serpentico's Twitter. You know Serpentico, right?
Yeah.
He was one of remember the Los Pendejos?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I saw his Twitter, and he was like, gonna fly home for, 10 hours to say, hey to the wife and the dog, and then get back in the plane and come back to Canada.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. I feel like to be there for 3 weeks like this,
yeah,
when you're only working like, I don't know.
Right.
It seems like a long time to be, just above where you live. It's like, could you imagine being almost home for a month? Mommy's doing laundry. All right, go ahead. But yeah, the next set, Collision next week.
Has to be in Calgary. Or it makes sense, at least.
The 15th is in Calgary at the Scotiabank Saddle Dome, which I'm assuming is different than the Scotiabank Arena in Toronto.
Correct.
Which is, can you hear her?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, Thea, guess what? You just told the internet. Don't worry. We'll worry about that later. Wait for Mommy. She'll be up in a minute. Don't worry. I won't edit that out. I'll show it at your Sweet 16.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, They're still in Canada, so yeah, that's going to be in Calgary. You think they try to make Punk a heel out of this match, or try
No,
to
no,
do
no,
some
because of
kind
the
of double switch, or you think they go straight up?
no. I think Punk is going to look at this like, let's just make it a straight up wrestling match. It's in Calgary for Owen. This is a night where Punk is going to look at it like it's his job to get Starks over. You can do it with that style match in that town. Like a straight up wrestling match is what the fans are going to want to see at least. Um, I mean, Punk might be a little heel-ish at times just because of the way the crowds are with him, and that crowd might be looking at Starks like he's let him be the guy, like, to beat you type thing. And
Yeah,
Punk don't need it. Punk can rebound from being a little heelish one time and then get back into his mode with Joe. Hopefully that's where they're going.
he seemed to have gotten better results from the crowd in
Oh yeah.
Regina last night than he did in Toronto last week. Hang on one second. Thea, you got to give me a minute. And I just don't think he's going to get the reaction that everybody thinks that he's going to get.
Yeah.
Where, like, people have been saying, to draw a comparison almost like it's going to be like Bret Hart 97. Babyface in Chicago, heel every place else that he goes. And I don't think that that's going to be the way it breaks down for him. What do you think?
Uh, I don't think so. I'm thinking he's gonna be heelish at other places. I just feel like they have to get through this Joe thing before he can completely turn, obviously. So they're gonna go with him still trying to be a face, and then when the turn when he does it is he's gonna make it a big deal. He's just not
Right.
gonna do it, off a match or through a frustrations in a match, and then all of a sudden, all right, well, next week I'm just going to be a heel. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be some sort of epic turnaround. So who knows? Who knows when he'll do it? But I don't think he'll do it. I don't think it's going to be like that. I mean, crowds reacting to him. That's all that really matters. They can be 50-50. It's fine. I don't think that bothers him. It doesn't bother the way he wrestles. He's not one of those guys that's like going to panic in the ring over it. Obviously, he's just going to go through and get done what he has to. But I don't think it's going to. I think his heel turn will be really meaningful when it does happen.
Right. It's got. I mean, to turn him heel just to get over a story for this tournament that you do once a year
Yeah,
doesn't really make any type of sense.
yeah. No, it doesn't. It doesn't have any like. Just for these few shows or however long they're at 50-50, it's with the crowd with him, that doesn't affect him. There's no way they're not gonna like quickly change him just because some of the crowds are more heelish than others. So Toronto's that way anyways. Like you had to expect, you're gonna expect it at some places because I think they're
Right. I mean,
aren't they in Newark like in a couple of weeks?
yeah, they're going to be having the blood and guts there in Newark. That'll be
Oh, okay.
that'll be I think a pretty decent indicator of
Yeah,
where the bulk of the crowd, bulk of the
right.
fan base's feelings are
Yeah, 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 for sure.
on Punk. But hang on one sec. Give me 1 minute. I'll edit this out after.